So just a quick and dirty video today. I thought I'd have a go at building a module because I've got myself a Eurorack case just recently. Right next to it I also have my MS20 Mini. These aren't directly compatible, but the sockets are the same size. Eurorack uses V-trig for its gates, so voltages go up and that triggers things like envelopes, whereas it's the opposite way around on the MS20 and MS10. So they go low when the envelopes are triggered. So we need something to convert the gates. So that's what I've bought this little kit for. The MH MS control, I think it's called. Also, the MS20 uses volts hertz for its voltages, and Eurorack uses volts per octave. This kit won't convert those voltages over, but apparently if we run our control signals into the total level and also inputs for frequency, so there's a total level here, these are apparently volts per octave, the same as Eurorack. But you have to dial in the amount on these knobs, and that can be a bit tricky. So the MS control module has a little attenuator so that we can adjust the voltage as it goes from here to here to get the tracking right. In the future I might buy something like a Disting which has a volts octave to volts hertz conversion mode, but for now I'm just going to try this and see how I get on. When I built this studio is I put in a dedicated soldering area, and I've not used it very much apart from patching up the odd cable, but that's where we'll be today, just sat here with me nattering away. I've got the window slightly open for some ventilation because I can't run a fan unless you want to hear a fan for like 10 or 15 minutes. So let's get cracking. So here's how the kit comes, just in a little tip box. There's a free blanking plate which I've already put in. So this is the faceplate and then the PCB. There's no surface mount components on this, it's just all through hole stuff. And this kit is actually passive in the sense that we don't need to connect it to our power bus. There is a little tiny bit of current I think it uses to convert those signals. But you can. This is based on, I think, a diagram that you can look up online for making your own cables to convert V-trig to S-trig. So an inline cable, you know, with the components in it, and that's, you've got two of those on here. And then obviously you've got this attenuator in between, so it's not particularly complicated. I thought it'd be a nice one for me to get back into building stuff, and also a nice one, nice and quick to film for YouTube. Let's just keep those out of the way for a minute. So this is our components. Not much going on in here. Resistors, a couple of diodes. There should be some transistors, there we go. And just the usual, oh, screws, nice one. Screws for mounting it on the case. Nuts for the stuff. Knob for pot. Where's the pot? Oh, there it is. So, instructions are just in text that you can find using the QR code that you get with it. So, stick the diodes in is the first advice. Take care with the orientation. The stripe on the diode must match the stripe on the PCB. So let's do that. So there is the space for our diodes. I can zoom in with that. Whee! There we go. So we need to, oh yeah, minus little injured myself at work this week. So yeah, we've got diodes, so there's a little stripe on the diodes, which is the black stripe. So they need to be, oh, that way around. So let's get those in. So I'm kind of hoping these build videos, if I keep doing them, will be a bit more sort of candid than my usual tutorials. I usually type quite a lot into descriptions on YouTube, getting things off my chest and stuff. I don't normally get a chance to just kind of blabber. So why not? Hoping that doesn't annoy lots of people. But then, also, I don't care. Right, so those are in, so you can just bend the legs a little bit out so they stay there. Soldering nice and hot. I've got this solder, I think the gauge might be a bit big for some of this stuff. Oh, I don't know, maybe that's okay. So we're just going to Come on. There we go. Zoom in a bit. It's just a case of blobbing a bit round them, and then I'll get my side cutters out and cut the leads off. If I can get in. There we go. And that's good. Okay, this is something I should have done first. I need to find my side cutters. In the drawer of bits, come on. Ha! So, you know, side cutters have a nice flat section on one side so that we can get really nice and close and just nip these legs off like that. So we're just left with a tiny little bit sticking out. I did put them in the right way. Good. What does it say next? Place and soldered resistors. Orientation doesn't matter, but there is two different values. So R1 is 68K, so that's this one. It's got 68K written on the label. So, as you can see, whack that in there. And R2 and 3 are 10K resistors. So there you go. The cue me editing bits out where I've struggled to get components in, I think. Right. So yeah, it doesn't matter which way around these go, in case you're wondering. There we go. And let's blob a bit around those as well. So what I'm hoping to be able to do with this is just to trigger obviously the envelopes and stuff on the MS20, and then we'll be able to run pitches into the oscillator. So we'll basically be able to integrate it completely, apart from there's no way to tap out an oscillator only output on the MS20, so we'll be running audio out of the audio output, which possibly won't be loud enough to use as a CV signal. So we might just need to take that into the mixer. So that might be something I need to build in the future. There are modules that can convert audio to CV level and vice versa. So that would be good. Well, a CV to audio module is just an output module, but there are ones that do it the other way around. I've got a lot of flux on the back of this board. I don't know if I'm supposed to clean that off. I've never known about that. Right. Flux is something in the solder, by the way. It comes with flux in it, and it stops the solder from oxidizing. That's the word. Place and solder the transistors. So these do have a way around, and you can see on the board there's a flat side. We match the flat side to the flat side on the transistor. Oh, these are nice and spaced apart. Often you get transistors and the legs are just, there's no kink in them. It can be a bit awkward to solder them in. That's nice to see. So let's slap that in there. They're both the same, because these are just duplicates of the same two circuit. Come on. There we go. So you can see I got the flat side matching the flat side. And I'm just going to lay that down and try and do that without them falling out. So it's not a bad idea to put your components in a metal tray of some description. That's usually when there's like CMOS components involved, which are static sensitive. So it's a good idea to just make sure you aren't putting them on anything that can generate static, because that can damage them. But that doesn't actually apply to this stuff. CMOS components usually are chips, like logic chips and such. That's not very good. Actually, that'd be quite useful to zoom in and... yeah, better than my eyes. There we go. That's better. Just hope that being this close to the camera doesn't mean I'm just heavy breathing constantly, because then I'd have to cut all that out. Right, so we're there. Right, that's the stuff with legs on. Place all jack sockets and the potentiometer on the PCB. All of these. Let's just tackle this first, actually. Yeah, I see what you mean. So I need to flatten those legs. They've got a little bit of a kink in them, so that's quite difficult to get in. So I'm just going to straighten that. Like that. That went there. Right. I'm just going to bend those over a bit back the other way so that they stay there. So these don't actually provide any kind of electrical contact, they're just literally to hold it in place. So there's these three here, they're actually doing the work. So we need all these in. So these have a way around. Oh, that's going to be fun. Right, we need to tape these in. This is fun, isn't it? Right, so more or less that several times over. Yeah, I'm going to do these two and then come back to it. So I need to just maybe do one leg and then just check it's... I need that. Let's try this. Oh, and I forgot to do the flipping pot. Need some like lounge music in the background for this, I think. So we need to make sure these are nice and tight against the board, or we won't be able to get the faceplate on properly, or it's all going to be kind of twisted. So there's not a lot to this kit. You know, barely anything to solder onto the surface really. I've been looking at some Thonk synth kits. Thonk's a UK company that make mostly Eurorack kits, or the you know, larger kits for the synths and stuff. Their products look pretty good, and I've already watched somebody else's build video on one of them, which is what made me think I should have a go. And it looked reasonably easy, considering my level of soldering capability. I'm not a professional by any means, although I did start messing around with a soldering iron when I was like 12. I didn't really keep it up, but you know, so I've been doing it a while, long while, but I wouldn't say I'm great at it. It's just something that I can model my way through, and if I'm at that level and I can build Eurorack modules, then I think most people could probably do that, and they might find this useful. So hence the thinking behind these. Well, this video might turn into nothing if this gets absolutely no views. And at the moment they do 4 offering basic stuff. One of them's a VCO, VCAs, what else? Attenuator and stuff. But like, very reasonably priced, and they look like they got some decent features, so it would be a good one to help me start taking my sort of full voices out of the rack, just to get some basic stuff going, I'm thinking. Is that flat? I can't tell. Let's just give it a go. No. It was not. So that one's probably isn't either. So we're in 20 minutes in. I'm 20 minutes in. Which I may shorten for the sake of brevity. Just so that no one looks at the time on the bottom of the video and goes, I'm not watching that. It's too long. That's better. You can just feel when they kind of touch the board. That one's leaning a bit. So I'm never going to get into soldering surface mount components. I've been on a few forums and stuff where people said, oh, it's not that bad. Yeah, I don't think so. Considering, you know, my level of skill and the amount of flux that I can see on the back of this board and stuff, I don't think the surface mount's ever going to be in my ballpark. So that's the components. So what we do? Put on the front panel, secure with pot, nut and jack nuts. There we go. Sorry, just had to take it off camera, just give it a bit of a squish in. That's fine, right. So this big fat guy is the pot nut. So we put the washer on. So we need fingernails. And I'm sure there's special tools for this. I'm just going to waz them up with a pair of pliers. So, oh, there's a little indentations on the top for the special tool that I don't have. I think Thonk stock those actually. Little I don't know if you better see if I zoom in. They've got a little tiny indentations in the top that I think is to take a special tool. There's some sort of knurled nut doofer thing tool. I'm literally just going to grab them with the pliers and tweak them up and try not to scratch the faceplate, which I've done before. Since I have a spare nut, I'm just going to go nice and rough. I scratched my East Beast quite badly because I'm an idiot and I left it on the floor. Right, and this is a really bad idea. I left it on the floor while I was setting out how I was going to put stuff together onto one of my synth trays because I wanted to know how big to make the synth tray. And then I kicked it over with the MIDI to TRS jack adapters in it and broke the flipping sockets inside. So I took it all to bits and I've just soldered them in and it looks horrible, but you might have noticed it's in my videos. It works, but it looks disgusting and I've scratched the faceplate and I'm so mad. Ugh, I'm an idiot. Right, so these are knurled and that's knurled. So you can find the pointer which is all the way left. Line the... come back here. Line the pointer up with the pointer that's all the way left and just press it on gently and then just check it. So that's right. So you can see it lines up. So if you don't get it in the right place the first time, the little pointer can be completely in the wrong place. But that's correct. So and then you can shove it on harder. So that should be it. That seemed to go quite well. I'm just going to check something. So yeah, you do need to clean flux. I suspect this isn't the swanky no clean flux stuff. Isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free cloth. So I'm going to do that off camera because it's probably a bit boring. So just to prove I'm not lying, I have actually cleaned this board. The only ISO I had was from an old tape head cleaner, so I must get some of this. It's quite useful. I found an old toothbrush. It was the best method of scrubbing it off, so nice and clean. Already tested this, but let's just ignore that, pretend I haven't done that. So I've nudged the neutron up a bit. We don't need power, so I can just whack that in and I'll screw that in place. Run audio from my MS20 Mini into the Track L6 so we can hear it. Just to demonstrate what I was going on about before, the gates being the wrong way around, I've got this mmMidi or mmMidi by ALM, so we can see we've got activity when I press a key on a MIDI keyboard. So when I hold a key, that produces a gate. Actually, it matches that LED, so it will go high from these sockets at the bottom. So I'll take a patch cable at the moment and run that directly into the MS20 on the trig in here. Obviously you can hear we're getting audio straight away. And when I press a key, it goes silent. So that is obviously the wrong way around. So what we need to do is take that gate from here, one of them, that's the right MIDI channel. Gate from here into one of the V-trig inputs here, and then from the V-trig output below it, from that into the MS20 Mini. Now we're the right way around. We're obviously not getting pitch yet. That's just triggering the envelope. We take the connection from the V voltage per octave, which is obviously pitch from mmMidi, into the CV in on the top of this new module, and then connect that into, let's use the total level. So total level I can route through these top knobs to various other things, pitch being one of them, so that's this one here. Now when we play, we're going to get pitch, but it's probably not going to be quite right. Oh, no, I'm not. Hang on a minute. No, I've got to turn this up. So this sends that connection to the oscillator section. So I'm actually going to play the pitches on the Li-Fi 12XT, because even transposing all the way down on this isn't actually reaching the lower octave, which is where I want it to be. So this is set all the way as low as it goes. So that lowest note will match the lowest note on the MS20, but an octave up should be an octave up, which is not quite. This is when I need to tune this, so I'm going to set up my tuner on my phone and just fiddle around with this pot until we get in the right place. So I've got this tuner app on my other phone, and I'm going to play the lowest note I can here, and then I'll check it's in tune, which it is. And then as I go up higher, we're going to check if that's in tune, which it isn't, so I need to tweak that. So I'm just going to play that and tweak this knob here. It's going to be awkward because I'm trying to do it while I'm filming. So then we just skip through the octaves and check them at higher intervals. So you can tweak away to your heart's content. I should have mentioned that I've turned this all the way to the top. That's what the instructions recommend to do. It's also recommended you let this warm up for 20 minutes before you do this, but for the sake of this video, that will suffice. On the EL01 play, I've got this all the way down to the bottom, and we can't get as low as the lowest octave we can here. So what I'd have to do if I wanted this to play lower octaves than it is at the moment is use some sort of offset between here and here. So I'm going to need an offset module. So that's something else I need to build. I'm sure that's one that Thunk has available. So that's probably going to pop up at some point. So because we plugged into the total level as well, if I turn up this knob, that sends this amount to the cutoff. So we've got filter tracking. Also, because we haven't disconnected this keyboard from pitch, we can use this to transpose the sequence as it plays also. If if that floats your boat. So one thing I should probably mention is how much I paid for this. It was £23.46 on eBay, including the postage. So I don't think that's bad actually, considering I can now use all this with this. It was worth it. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Hope you like this video. And please let me know in the comments if you enjoy this slightly more candid approach. That was my computer booting up. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.